Victory as eagerly as Geordie fans themselves today. They so nearly went ahead through a magnificent lob from Peter Beardsley. Blackburn goalkeeper Tim Flowers wouldn't have smiled had it dropped under and not over the bar. Newcastle did manage to keep Alan Shearer off the score sheet today though. Shearer looking to equal a Premiership record of scoring in 7 consecutive matches. The Blackburn striker could have side-footed goal 29 midway through the first half. The result was settled late in the game. David Batty headed the ball back towards the 6-yard box. David May's volley was a worthy match winner. Blackburn now have 10 wins in the draw from their last 11 matches. It's 28 games played for both Blackburn and Manchester United. The points difference is 7. Blackburn go to Norwich on Tuesday. To come, Blackburn versus Manchester United at Ewood Park early in April.
Arsenal are in the shake-up for a European place, but are now 12 points adrift of Blackburn in third. Their increasing arrears a result of 5 straight draws. It could have been worse today though had Everton striker Brett Angel's shot hit the net instead of the bar after 23 minutes. Preki off target with the follow-up. So a piece of good fortune for Arsenal on a day when their own finishing was all too often wide of the mark. Paul Merson was the exception. His aim was true. His 56th minute goal quite magnificent. But Tony Cottee came off the bench to level it 9 minutes from time. Ricochets are plenty in the box. Cottie's bullet finish for his 16th goal of the season. His sights now on a permanent place in the starting lineup.
It was the goalkeepers that took centre stage at Elland Road. Bruce Grobbelaar won't be happy with the punch he threw at Gary McAllister's free kick. It went straight to David Weatherall and Leeds were ahead 10 minutes into the game. For Liverpool, Clough, Walters and Nicol made way for Matteo, Ruddock and Redknapp. And still looking for their first win under new manager Roy Evans, the Liverpool players could only applaud John Lukic's save from John Barnes' volley early in the second half. Lukic recalled at the expense of Mark Beanie. He justified the decision. At the other end, Grobbelaar was at fault with another McAllister effort, brilliant in saving from David White, but helpless when the Liverpool defence allowed McAllister to run into the penalty area. When the shot eventually came in, it was deflected by Steve McManaman, secured Leeds' first win for 2 months, and 40,000 saw it.
Francis Lee's takeover of Manchester City gave their fans optimism for the long-term future of the club. 2 games unbeaten since his arrival, and the short-term hopes of avoiding relegation looked promising. But David Rennie's header was one of 4 second-half goals for Coventry, as the Manchester club were told in no uncertain terms to re-evaluate those short-term plans. Rennie's first goal for Coventry was followed by Mick Wynn's first of the year. 75 minutes had gone when Alan Kernaghan's clearance was charged down by Rennie. His cross was met by Quinn's diving header. That was greeted by a new line in salutes to celebrate the end of his barren spell. 2 more followed in the last 3 minutes as Coventry notched their highest total of the season. John Williams, whose pace menaced the visitors' defence throughout, lashed home a splendid third. Then he played Peter Unlove through for the 4th in injury time, thus inflicting on Manchester City their heaviest defeat of the season. They stay in deep trouble, 3rd from bottom.
And there was a real cracker of a match at the County Ground. Swindon will never lie down. Their fight to retain their Premier League status will continue. They went behind after 15 minutes today to Chris Sutton's 21st goal of the season. Brian Kilcline may feel he was fouled, but the asking price for Sutton will remain high. Norwich insist they won't sell. Norwich were convinced a Swindon equaliser 3 minutes later was offside though, but Sean Taylor found the ball at his feet. No flag, no whistle, the goal stood and it was 1-1. And there was still plenty of action before half-time. Sutton can score goals, he can make them. His neat cross on the turn volleyed in by Rob Newman. Swindon's response was right on the whistle. There was time for an equaliser. Nicky Summerby's cross, Jan Fjortoft's header. It was only weeks ago that having failed to score, the talk was all about Fjortoft going back to Norway on loan. Since then, he can't stop scoring. 5 minutes into the second half, again from a Summerby cross, Fjortoft did it again. Facing the wrong way, he was still able to supply the perfectly angled header. 3-2 for Swindon, and the Norwegians' record now reads 7 goals in 5 games. He can kiss the fjords goodbye for a while. 3 points would have lifted Swindon off the bottom of the table for the first time this season. As their fans waited for the moment, they had to reorganise. Goalkeeper John Sheffield had to go off injured. Nicky Hammond had to quickly warm up. He made an early save from Fjortoft again, who could only push Ian Crook's brilliant chip onto the bar. Goss pounced, there were 7 minutes left, and the scores were level again. Crook had measured the chip to absolute perfection, to the centimetre, and it was Goss who was alert to the rebound. Norwich's impressive away record wasn't damaged too much. 6 goals, still time for drama. Moncur, Crook and Goss centre stage in the centre circle. It was infectious. Suddenly there were 20-odd players involved. Plenty of pushing and shoving and much worse. But who would get carded to pay the penalty? Surprisingly, referee Roger Gifford took a lenient view. Jeremy Goss, for one, would be relieved, having shouldered the responsibility of letting Moncur know exactly what he thought of him. The referee kept his cards close to his chest, but there were 6 goals to enjoy.
Now, the league position, the win today for Blackburn has cut